let's give a very warm welcome to Aki. Hi, Aki. Feel free to introduce
Hello,
yourself.
hello. Hello,
Yeah.
my name is Aki. It's really nice to meet you. I am just an aspiring manga artist and illustrator. And yeah, that is me.
All right. Welcome, Aki. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And I'm sure everyone in chat is excited for today's discussion with you. Can we give a round of applause for Aki in chat, you guys, just to warm up the chat for her and give her a warm welcome? All right.
Oh, thank
So,
you for
hi,
having me.
Aki.
Hello,
Um,
hello.
what do you do outside of making manga and being an artist?
Yes, what do I do? I work at a nice little cookie bakery. It's honestly so good, so fun. Love you coworkers, you the best. But besides that, that's kindly, and then I just come home and try to draw.
Yeah, as we all do. We all just try to draw in our free time. All right. But
Mhm.
that's cool that you work at a bakery. I love cookies.
Mhm.
So when I learned that you actually work at a cookie bakery, I'm like, "Oh my gosh." I think my favorite type of cookie like snickerdoodles. I'm not sure if you
Ooh, mhm.
guys make snickerdoodles, but I
We
love
do.
snickerdoodles. Yeah. What about like random question, what's your favorite type of cookie?
I'm a chocolate lover, so
Oh.
probably anything that is really chocolatey. Personally, at our work, just like the classic chocolate chip is always
Mm.
delicious. I like. It sounds bad, but like I feel like I eat it almost every day.
Right. I mean, I love chocolate myself, so that's really nice to hear that you love chocolate cookies. I mean, I have to watch what I'm eating. That's why I really like vanilla stuff, buttery
Mhm.
cookies, and also matcha and white chocolate
Ooh,
every now and
yes.
again.
Mhm.
But yeah, random question, like crispy or soft cookies?
Mm,
I know that's a widely
personally,
debated
it,
topic.
it is personally probably soft cookies because I feel like I also like to have like a scoop of ice cream on top. So I feel like a
Mm,
softer cookie is always the way to
yeah,
go.
good answer. I'm like a soft cookie truther myself. So
Mm-hmm.
like crispy on the outside, but like soft and gooey on the inside.
Yes,
That's great.
yes.
That's perfect. All right. I won't take any other opinions on that chat. All right. So, okay. So how did you get into making manga, Aki?
Yeah, so when I was probably around 11 years old, that's when I first discovered anime and manga. Before that, I would, you draw on the side or like you have like the art classes that were done in school. And I always really enjoyed that. And then I started learning about anime and manga. And to be honest, I always just wanted to make fan art. Like I'd watch the shows and there were such cool characters, especially since my first anime that I watched was Yu Yu Hakusho, and I fell in love with Kurama. I love him
Nice.
so much. And I honestly just wanted to make fan art. And I think as I got older and realized that this is something that I could do as like a hobby or even potentially as a living, I was like, I just want to be a part of the storytelling process.
Yeah.
Originally, I wanted to be part of like animation because my all time favorite show is Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Nice.
And just like watching it growing up and also rewatching it as an adult, just being like, this show has such an impact on me and who I am as a person. The idea that I could be a part of that process, whether as like a character designer or even something really small, it's like, I want to do that. And then eventually it's like, I could also make manga and comics because I love reading. Well, I'm a big BL girly. I love BL. I read a lot of it on the side, and it's like it's so fun and just like seeing the art. It's like I one day hope to just make something of my own, and I guess that's kind of how it all came about.
Yeah. So what I'm getting at here is first inspirations were for sure like Yu Yu Hakusho and
Mm-hmm.
Avatar, right?
Yes.
Which Great taste. But and how about in terms of manga inspirations, right? I'm sure that when you
Mhm,
started thinking, oh, okay, maybe I should try making manga, I'm sure like you tried reading some manga
mhm.
yourself, right? Before getting into it. So what about
Yes.
specific manga inspirations then?
Yes. So, in middle school and high school, I started going to like bookstores like Barnes and Noble, and I bought a lot of the fairy tale manga.
Mm,
And I would sit there and I would look at the art, and I would, especially like the cover art, and I would just like
yeah.
sit there and like, try to copy it because I really liked the art style of the covers. And I would also try to just like buy at least one volume of an anime that I was watching to like, because sometimes there's like the fun of seeing like the difference of like the manga style versus the anime style. I try to do that. So I feel like fairy tale was a big one. Um, BL wise, I read my first BL was Seikaiichi Hatsukoi.
Oh my
Um,
God. Same.
and I read that manga too, and it's very, very of its time, but it's
For sure.
still so like I still like really enjoyed like the art style, even though it's so it's so of its time. But I'd read all these, and I feel like those especially were like the first inspiration, I would say.
All right. So that's cool. I mean, I was not expecting a Sekaiichi Hatsukoi name drop today, but that brings back so much memories. And I
Mhm.
think if I can roughly recall, I think the story of that was a manga editor or like at least a book editor. I think it was in the editing
Yes,
industry or
yes.
publishing industry, that
Yes,
type of
I
thing.
think he ended up working in like the shoujo or like BL department of the manga
Oh,
editing.
yeah. Yeah.
Something
So
like
like
that.
yeah. So I think, which is honestly pretty cool that
Hmm.
now, okay, you've ended up, oh, I want to make manga myself, you know?
Hmm.
All right. So you joined us back in January, I believe, like late
Hmm.
January. So what made you decide to join the program?
Yes, so before doing the program, I felt pretty lost about my art, a little bit in a rut, I would say. Um, and I always knew that I wanted to get into either like webtoons or comics or just like manga in general. And then I was like, I just need to try. It's something I've always wanted to do. I'm not getting any younger. Not that I'm old, but it's like there's no time like the present. And I did stumble across the YouTube channel, and there's a lot of good tips and tricks. And I was like, why not just trying it out? See what happens, because truthfully, you never know.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm like that you tried to find a solution, because I know a lot of people who get stuck in a rut, they just get stuck and
Mhm.
remain stuck, right? So I like that you tried to find ways yourself, right, to try and get unstuck, right? I'm glad that you found the channel then. So thank you so much for just watching our stuff then. And it's thank you so much as well for coming into the program because of that. So yeah. All right. So what was your very first impression of the program then?
I feel like it's good. I am really shy and awkward, and I don't interact much because it is a pretty like decent sized community. I get in my eyes, I feel like it's pretty like a nice large community. So it is always intimidating trying to interact, but it is always nice to see people post about stuff they're really passionate about. It truly even if I'm not necessarily interacting a lot, it does
Mm.
feel very encouraging because you are able to see other people be passionate and learn and grow. And it's like, wow, we're all doing our best together, no matter like what skill level you're on.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I think I like what you said about the community. Like, even though it's like a fairly, it is a kind of a sizable community currently. So a lot of people just sharing their work constantly,
Mhm.
right? And it's nice that you feel like you can safely and like confidently share your work even though you're a bit shy, right? Because I know a lot of the students in the program are really supportive. I mean, just looking at some of your work, especially the Witch Hat Atelier, master study that you did,
Mhm.
right? I know a lot of people really liked that and they were really supportive in the
Mhm.
comments because of that. So,
Mhm.
yeah, that said, like what's it like learning with fellow aspiring mangakas like yourself? Because I know you said you're shy, but what's it like just being in these sessions and getting to learn from their works and also getting to observe their works as well?
Mhm. I'd probably say since everyone has like, different likes and different dislikes and also different strengths, you're kind of
Mm-hmm.
able to, even if like not necessarily like I'm getting critiqued or like anything, you are able to like look at a work and try to be not critical because like that it's like never good, but have that eye of like being like, this is what I really, enjoyed in your work and being able to kind of say it and like form that language because it is very important in art, especially if you end up like self-publishing. You have to create that lexicon and have to learn visual language and understand how to help your work. I guess
Yeah.
if that makes sense at all.
No, 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 yeah. All right. So how about like any when you're especially when you're in sessions, right, with the mentors or with your coaches, right? Do you have any particular struggles with trying to go through your work and trying to review your work? Because I know that some beginners like some beginners do struggle with getting feedback,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
right? Because they're so protective of their
mm-hmm,
work. I know a lot of people, they have this sort of protection, like protective instinct over their work. Like, oh, I originally intended it for it to be this way, but now someone else, someone who perhaps like knows better than me, is telling me to do something else, you
mm-hmm,
know? So how has that been like for you, just going through that critiquing process?
mm-hmm. Personally, um, in the beginning, it is definitely hard to get critique because of that protectiveness.
Mm,
But I now understand, and you have to tell yourself that they are not trying to tear you down. They want you to get better. They want you to learn and to grow and to be able to flourish and have something readable and gain an audience and have something that you are proud of. And sometimes it takes someone else's eye and someone else's knowledge to be able to do that. Because, yeah, there are people who are better than me, who understand paneling and structuring more than me. And you have to say they are trying to help me in the grand scheme of things. I mean, unless they're being like really rude, which don't listen to that.
yeah,
Don't even do that. But most
yeah,
of the time it comes from a place of they want to help you. They want you to grow and to get better.
yeah. As long as you understand that
Mm,
constructive criticism is
mm,
meant to be constructive, right? But
mm.
once it gets to a point where it's getting a bit harsh, a bit personal, then that's another thing, right? So,
Yes.
hopefully, have you had a good experience then going through that critiquing process with our mentors, with our coaches?
I would say they're all very friendly, and I know
Mm,
that they know more than
yeah,
me. They have years of experience on me. So it
yeah,
is like I just need to see what they say. And sometimes you can just be like, maybe I don't want to listen to it, but maybe I'll listen to the next one. Because sometimes it
mm,
is like you're really proud. But I feel like overall, as long as you're really open-minded and
yeah,
accepting of it, it's like you'll be fine.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe you can just
It's all
rant to a friend.
Yeah, it's all a learning process, that's for
Mm-hmm.
sure. So as long as you don't take it personally, you guys, it's all about just learning, all right? it's a whole trial and error process. Just, oh, making this and then, oh, redoing it because a mangaka said so, or like my coach said so, that type of thing. As long as you're open-minded. Exactly. All right. Now, since joining the program, you've honestly accomplished a lot of stuff. You've made yonkomas, you've made
Mhm.
2-page one-shots, you've made 4-page one-shots. So, which one was the most fun and which one was the hardest?
Yes, probably my 4-page one because I was able to, or the 4-page one was probably the hardest
Mm-mm.
because it was, how do I explain this? It was my own idea, and I don't consider myself a writer at all. So it's hard to think about what is something that you can convey in only 4 pages.
Mm.
The other, like the yonkoma I did, and then a 2-page I did, they had like prompts. So it's easier to come up with an idea for that. But when it's like, okay, now this is all my brain, that's definitely the hardest for me. Um, and in the same vein, I would say it's also the most fun because sometimes prompts feel impersonal. You're just like, this is just a prompt. I'm doing it for a learning experience to see what I can do with it. Um, but this one, it is like, this is my idea. I want it to be
Mm.
good. I'm having fun, but also I'm struggling.
Yeah. I mean, I know struggling with original
Mhm.
ideas and original concepts is definitely like a bit more difficult than just working with a prompt. That's for sure. So how about what was the most fun then?
Um, it was, yeah, it was a 4-page. I also had fun with, I think the 2-page I did because the 2-page, it just like, um, it was like I think you showed it earlier where it's like the cracking of the egg and there's like the
Mm,
chicken side. That one was fun. I kept it really sketchy and loose, and I was like, how can I put my own twist on this like a prompt that like since it
mm,
was a prompt.
mm. So I'm seeing like the longer it is, and also if more of the ideas are coming from me, if I put more original ideas into it, that's when it gets a bit more tricky for you. All
Mm-hmm.
right. So I'm seeing a pattern here, which it's honestly natural because longer works take more time, take more effort, especially if it's like 100% original,
Mm-hmm.
then it is it does give you more opportunities to be like, "Oh, is this right? Is this okay? I mean, is the story right? Am I doing this right?" There's a lot of opportunities for self-doubt, especially when you're working with an original idea, right? Whereas with the prompt, it's like, oh, a prompt is pretty straightforward. I just need to follow this and I can do my own creative spin on it, but there is a solid like um template that you're following at that point when you're working with a prompt, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's a bit more structured in that sense. But yeah, I totally get that longer works are harder and more original mangas and more original stories are definitely harder.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, like, how did working with coaches and working with our mentors perhaps help you improve? Or any advice that really stuck with you?
I would say definitely they helped with a lot of paneling and helping the story flow.
Mm,
Um, because it is something that my eye is not yet trained to really totally understand the best way of how things flow. So having a second pair of eyes and being like, I think if you did this, it looks better. And it's like also you want to make sure you have like, that close-up shot on the emotion because sometimes, since I'm still learning, it's like there are things that I'm not even thinking about that someone else might say, hey, it might help it flow and read better.
yeah. All right. So mostly just flow, right? And
Mm-hmm.
paneling and how the reading direction needs to connect and flow naturally, right? That said, I know a lot of beginners struggle with making manga because they're so unfamiliar with the reading direction.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's for manga, it's right to left. So how did you perhaps cope with that?
Mm. I don't, personally, I feel like it wasn't too hard since I do tend to read a lot of manga, even if I'm like
Mm,
reading it on my phone. It's still the same reading direction or like
mhm,
as drawing. So I don't, personally, I didn't think it was too hard. Also, I am left-handed. So when I have
mm,
my sketchbook, I do actually start on the right side of the page.
right.
So I feel like it was a little unconscious. So it wasn't as difficult, but it is something you have to be conscious of. It's more
Yeah.
like I have to be wary, like, okay, I'm making a manga, so I have to do it this way. But I think once you do like the first couple of pages, it becomes a little more comfortable.
Yeah, for sure. Because I know a lot of beginners who want to make manga but are so used to like the traditional reading direction of like left to right, right? Because most books read left to right, most comics read left to right, right? So it's so ingrained in our consciousness at that point that when we're reading manga, it's easier to follow the direction because we're so used to reading right to left, especially
Mm-hmm.
if you've read a lot of manga, right? But making manga is a different thing. That's the case because when you're actually making manga, it's like, oh, I need to plan with intention now
Mm-hmm.
and follow that traditional reading flow, right? Komawari,
Mm-hmm.
or as you would say. So it's right to left, top to bottom, right? So planning out your manga that way does get a lot of getting used to, especially for your first time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're like a manga fan, if you've read a lot of manga, it does get easier.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm glad that you managed to really adapt to that pretty easily then.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what is back in February, right? So you joined the Wordless Manga Contest. So what was that experience like? Especially since you mentioned it was your first manga ever.
Yes, yes. So I started it before I joined the program, mostly because I was like, okay, this is a contest. I have a deadline. I just want to try to finish.
Mm,
This is like my first, that's mainly why I joined. I just wanted a structure.
yeah.
I saw that I was like, okay, this is reasonable. It has a like, because there's like two versions of the contest, one with a prompt and one where you could do anything really. And I was like, I'm just gonna try my best. I'm gonna take an old OC. I'm gonna revamp it. I'm just gonna tell myself, and I told a bunch of like my friends, be like, hey, I'm trying this. Can you keep me accountable? Because like I want to start it, and this contest, what is like the perfect chance for me to put my foot in the door, or whatever the saying goes, but
Mm,
to really try and tell myself that I can do it. Because a lot of times it is like, I want to do it, but I don't know how. Like, how do people have the motivation to do it? Because it's a lot. It's a lot of work.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I just had no idea, and I was like, just try it. It doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not gonna try to win this contest because it's like it's my first time. I'm not gonna win. It's
Yeah.
just truly to finish, to have a completed project, and to say and to prove to myself that I can do it. And that's kind of how it went. I like showed a bunch of my friends, like the storyboards, especially since it's wordless. I like
Yeah.
showed it to them to like make sure it made sense. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if that answered the question at
No,
all,
no,
but
no. No, yeah, that lets me know that you literally just took a leap of faith, right?
yes.
Because what you had, for the most part, you had no idea what you were doing because, again, it was your first manga ever, right?
Mhm.
So, which is honestly to be expected, right? But what matters really is the fact that you even tried at all, you know? I think what sets up, again, I've said this before in previous live streams, but what sets a lot of artists apart from what sets at least like successful artists that make progress apart from artists who are just stuck in until the point where they just give up on art, right? Is that constant effort. right? Constant effort, constant willingness to just create, right? Because as long as you keep that passion for just making art and making manga alive, then you can make progress, however slow or however fast that progress may be, right? The important part is that you actually try and do
Mm.
it, right? Which is what Aki essentially did, right? She tried and she did it. And for a lot of people, that can be hard. So it's really great that you really went ahead and just did it. And now you have like a finished manga, right?
Mhm.
All right. So now you're working on different projects, right? I know you're working on another one shot. So,
Mhm.
how is working on this one shot different from working on like manga contest submissions?
Yes, this one I'm working on. I'm like, I have to fulfill my fangirly dreams because, as I mentioned before, I am a BL lover.
Yeah.
I have, I want to make one so badly. And with contests, not that I can't make one, but I am a little more hesitant since it's like a worldwide audience. And BL is a very niche, like it's a big genre or big niche, but it's
Yeah.
still like a small niche that, might not be accepted everywhere. Um, so I'm like, this is for me. I'm going to be so self-indulgent. I want to put all my favorite tropes in there. Like truly I am writing this for myself.
Yeah.
Because yeah. And also I could take my time and really think about it, which is different from contests because like, since contests have a deadline. So I'm like, I'm gonna take my time because I want this to be good. I want this truly to be for me and nobody else.
Right. And I really like that this passion project of yours, let's call it a passion project because as I can tell, like you really want to make a BL manga,
Mhm.
right? So it's definitely a passion project of yours. So with on your point about BL being pretty niche, it is actually pretty niche. And you wouldn't expect it with how feral the internet is over
Yes.
BL stuff, you know? But I know in terms of like mark industry, at least for
Mhm.
BL stuff, it's not that big,
Mhm.
right? Especially in foreign countries outside of Japan, I believe. I know in Japan there's like a huge BL industry in Japan, but it's pretty, as you would say, underground, I
Mhm.
think, not as exposed because again, it's BL. So, I think the fact that you're pursuing something that you clearly love and you're clearly passionate about is what's telling me that okay, you can manage to finish this because you're so passionate about it,
Mhm.
right? So I'm rooting for you. We're all rooting for you.
Thank
All right.
you.
Now, since joining, what do you think is one skill that you've leveled up the most? Would it be writing, paneling, inking?
I'd probably say Um, paneling for sure, because especially like learning like not the like rules, because like manga, I feel like in any art form, there's not necessarily strict rules, but like guidelines and recommendations of like how many panels should be on a page, especially if you want to keep reader attention. I think that's like good to learn. I truly was so unsure in the beginning, but definitely paneling. I do think that I've gotten slightly faster at drawing. I felt like before I was on the slower end, and now I feel like I'm on the average end.
Mm. All right. So we just real quick, we have a question from Xavier.
Mhm.
Not to sound stupid, but I'm French and I don't know what BL is. BL stands for boys love.
Mhm.
So essentially like gay manga.
Yes.
Essentially. So, yeah. And speaking of BL, right, going back to your one shot, like how is it coming along? Because you did say that your goal is to publish it like online this year. So how's
Mhm.
that coming along?
It's kind of good. I'm still writing it because I wanted to truly, I don't know how to explain this. Well, um, I want it to be something that I can be really proud of, especially since it is something that I'm really passionate about. And I'm trying to take from like my personal experience and truly like ingrain it into like my characters and the setting and the story. So it is going. I'm still writing it. I'm hoping to start like doing like the breakdowns, aka like what I want on each page really soon because I've gotten like the basic summary down. So fingers crossed.
By the are these the characters?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me more about them then? Like just a sneak peek.
Yeah, so right now, I don't want to give too many details since I'm still writing it, but they are my MCs. My MC is actually going to be the one on the left hand
Mm,
side because his story is going to basically, it's kind of like I want the story to be about living life and it's okay to find a passion kind of outside of school is the goal
mm.
I'm hoping. But yeah, I don't know. I don't want to give too much away.
So coming of age type story.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I just I love the expressions here, especially like the frown expressions here. Like
Thank
you can
you.
really you can really tell a lot about their characters just with just the way you draw their expressions, you know. So also I'm loving they complement each other so well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I particularly love like the one on the right.
Mhm,
I don't know what to call him, but yeah, the one on the right. Large, lumbering, buzz cut-ish
mhm.
type hair, really cute. All right, and I think I really cute together. They look really cute together.
Thank you.
All right. So I hope to see more updates for these characters for specifically hopefully later this year. So yeah, really looking forward to it. I'm personally a BL enjoyer myself. So yeah, I always like to take any sort of opportunity to read, especially indie stuff because a lot of indie stuff is really good. Honestly, I
Yes,
follow a lot of
yes.
indie artists on
Mhm,
Blue Sky,
mhm.
and they literally just post thread
Yes,
updates, right, of
yes.
their manga.
Mhm.
And I turn on notifications for some of the authors that I really like just so I can get updated. Oh, how is this couple doing?
Yes, exactly. It's
Yeah.
so good. There's so many talented people out there, and I'm like, yes, feed me.
I mean, it's such, I mean, if you're a BL enjoyer, there's definitely a community for it online, right? So,
Mhm,
it's always nice to find that community. Like whatever
mhm,
niche you're trying to make your manga for, right? Bringing it back
mhm.
to manga, you guys. I'm sorry. Bringing it back to manga. I think it's really important for when you're just starting out, right? And you're trying to build your audience. Um, which is key, by the way. It's important to build your audience if you want to seriously become like a mangaka, because building your audience is basically building your readership, right? If you want people to read your manga for when you publish it finally, or you could self-publish it online, which is what most people start with, then you need to be able to like build a presence online, and just that means just sharing your art and interacting with the community that your let's say that your manga um is based in, or it could be the type of people that would be interested in your type of manga, right? Then in this case, BL, right? So in incorporating yourself and like establishing a presence in the BL community is also one way to start putting your work out there, right? So just making friends with your community, it's really nice, it's really important. It's important to make friends, you guys, in whatever situation.
Mhm.
So yeah. All right. Now, with that said, any advice for other beginners who are thinking about creating their very first manga?
Yes, I would definitely, I think probably a bunch of people say this, but start small. Personally, the reason why I probably didn't start sooner is you have all these grand ideas, and if especially if you're like, my idea is gonna span 10 volumes and it's gonna be this many things, and you're just starting out, it feels so daunting. And sometimes that is what causes you to not even start at all. Um, so I feel like start small. Do even if you have this grand idea, you can still work towards it. You can do a one page to like try to figure out what your characters are like, or even do like character studies through small little like yonkomas, or doing like 2 pages to really understand. Because once you start doing that, then you can gain your confidence and hopefully tackle those bigger, ambitious stories. Another thing that I have is to be a fan. Truly, I think what kept me drawing, even if it wasn't necessarily manga and just art in general, is to be a fan of anything. Whether sometimes, like, I have a friend who she's like really OC brain rotted. She like loves
Mm,
her OC, and sometimes she calls her art fan art. I'm like, that's your creation. That's like original art. But it's like she's like, it's the fan art. I'm like, or even if it is just like fan art of a series, um, it sometimes it feels like less pressure, but also because you care about it,
yeah.
it'll keep you going. Even like you could also make like fan comics. It's something I just find a passion in something where you kind of don't want to stop. Because truly, that's how I started. I wanted to make fan art, and then I just never put my pencil down. I just kept drawing because I would watch new shows and get obsessed with like a character or a ship. And I just wanted to draw them. And then eventually it's like, well, now I'm here. I want to make my own stuff. And
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just kind of fun being a fan, even if it is of your own work. It's like, say you're making
Yeah.
fan art of your original character.
Yeah. I think that's a really nice and really good way of looking at it, right? Like being a fan of your work. Like we all start out, I think most artists start out as fans of a particular IP or a particular series or a particular book, that sort of things. I mean, I think all of the students in our program have started out that way as like a fan of something. And some of them have made like fan art of their favorite series, of their favorite shows. Some of them didn't. But I think you put like a really good take as in like you have to be a fan of your work. So when you're actually making your manga, think of it as like, oh, making fan art for your OC, which is a really nice way to put it. Because for
Mhm.
some people who operate on that type of mindset, like I'm a fangirl myself, like but I don't make manga, I write. I'm
Mhm.
mostly a writer. So not to out myself here, but I have written fan fiction. So,
Yeah.
yeah, my origins stem from writing fan fiction. I won't say what fandom because again, I don't want to out myself, but my origins stem from like writing fan fiction. And that desire to write fan fiction came from my desire to tell a story that's not canon, but like potential scenarios, right? Where I can put my favorite characters in. It all starts from there. That's
Mhm.
where your creativity starts. That's where you build your creativity, just expanding your imagination by using existing characters, which is easier because, again, the characters are existing and you're just taking them out of the worlds that they were originally from and putting them in a new scenario, that type of thing. So, experimenting with that can definitely help you build your storytelling skills. It could also help you build your art skills as well, because again, just making fan art is a passion. If you're a fan of something, you're passionate about something. That's a very critical point, is that you're passionate about it. And that passion can fuel your progress. Fangirls are passionate, fanboys are so passionate, the most passionate people on the internet, you could say. So it's like that passion is what I think truly sets successful artists apart because they find joy in what they do and they just do it because they love doing it, you know? And as long if you start from there, then creating your own original work becomes much easier, I believe, because you've already built up that work ethic, like making your fan art, making your fan work. So you've already had experience making that. Now coming up with new original ideas, you've it's much easier because you've already had previous experience, even if it's just with fan art, right? So once you start making your own original work, think of it as like, okay, here are my original characters. I love these characters so much. They're my characters. They're my own. I created them myself. I birthed these characters. Like, these are my sons, these are my daughters. So, if you look at it that way, it of course that builds a sort of protectiveness around your characters, and that which is good in a sense because that means okay, I want to make sure that these characters um go through the right story that I have in my mind, and I want to make sure that the story makes sense to me, and it's something that I enjoy myself, right? So that's where you start when you start creating your own original work. And then once you start delving into the idea of okay, I want other people to read it now, that's when you have to start thinking of, oh, this is not just for me. This is for other people to consume and for other people to read as well. So I need to consider, okay, how would someone else interpret my manga? Would someone else enjoy my manga? Would someone else not enjoy my manga? You know, because unfortunately, that is what something that you have to deal with once you start thinking, okay, I want to make a career out of this. And wanting to make a career out of this means, oh, I need to consider readership and I need to consider feedback at this point. Just so I can make manga that other people would want to read, right? So that means you need to be a bit more open-minded with how you create your works now at that point. So all that to say, once you get to that point of wanting to create manga for others, you have to maintain that passion that you started out with when you were just making manga or making art for yourself, right? Maintaining that passion is one way to balance out that process of trying to make manga for others, right? So as long as you maintain that passion, you guys, you're gonna be good. You're gonna be fine. All right. And that is our last question for Aki for today, you guys. But we are gonna be entertaining more questions from chat later during the Q&A. So make sure to sit tight and stay tuned for that. But just so you guys know, if you guys haven't been following the interview so far, Aki is actually one of the students in our one-shot manga drawing program. And yes, we have a program. It's a course dedicated to teaching you everything you need to know to make and finish your first one-shot manga. So why a one-shot, right? For those of you who don't know what a one-shot is basically a 16 to 30 page manga, really short, and it starts and finishes within those 16 to 30 pages. So it's a complete story within a limited amount of pages, right? And one-shots are actually a milestone that every aspiring mangaka has to achieve. Because if you're thinking of getting into the industry, if you're thinking of getting published, then or aside from getting published, if you're thinking of joining manga contests, you are gonna have to learn how to make a one shot because most manga contests they require one shot submissions. Most publishers or portfolio reviews they will require to see any previous one shots that you might have worked on, right? So, beginner mangakas always start with one shots. And if you can recall some of the big manga series out there right now, like One Piece or let's say Attack on Titan, right? Both of them began as one shots. Oda made the one shot for One Piece like way back in the 90s, and it was released, I believe, as just a one shot because this is how publishers basically test audiences on whether a title would do well amongst audiences or not. And if a one shot does well enough amongst their readership, then it gets greenlit for a series. That's basically how the process goes. Whereas for Attack on Titan, Isayama actually, I believe, submitted the one shot for Attack on Titan as like a manga contest submission and it won. And it didn't get greenlit for a series right away. Isayama actually had to go through a whole back and forth editing process with an editor, but he did get signed with a publisher at that point, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, the whole point is that both of these great mangakas started out by making one shots. And if you want to be a mangaka yourself, you are going to have to start with a one shot yourself. So, the goal of our program is to empower more aspiring manga artists like yourself. And we've been working with students through our one-shot manga drawing program these past few months. And we have our student here, Charisse, who went from just making fan art of Dragon Ball and Lucha Libre and not knowing how to make manga at the start of the year. Charisse has made so much progress and made multiple one shots in just a span of a month, right? This is one of her early works here on the left, and these are her more recent yonkomas that she just made here on the right? And we also have our student Michael. Now, Michael has finally started making manga after years of just nothing, right? Before he joined us, he was just riddled with self-doubt, so much hesitation. And since joining us in just 2 months, he's already entered a manga contest and he's already leveled up his skills. I mean, just look at the difference, right? From his manga on the right to his manga on the left. And again, that's just a 2 month difference. And since then, he's already been working on bigger projects like a 20 to 30 page one shot, all while balancing his career in aviation. Yes, you guys. Michael is a pilot. He can fly planes. That's actually his career. Michael can flies planes for a living, and he makes manga on the side. You know, what will you know? All right. And next, we also have our student Takari. Now, Takari, actually started last year. And you can see the difference between her manga from last year to her manga this year, right? And this is what she had to say. I looked over my previous SMA, Silent Manga, which is a manga contest. So I looked over my previous Silent Manga audition submission that I finished before joining this course, and comparing pages with my recent manga, it's very clear that I learned a lot. And last year I didn't know what screen tone is, how to do paneling, didn't know much about perspective and anatomy. And I struggled literally with everything. It was a pain. And this time I already knew what I needed to do. I had a refined process and it was much easier, especially with the help of coaches. And yeah, it's been amazing seeing Takari's progress, and she's been steadily making progress since joining us. And we also have another student, Eduardo, who's actually had some experience making submissions for manga contests before joining us. And he actually joined the silent manga audition before, like Dakari. And after getting feedback from that contest, he decided to work more on his skills and joined the program because of it. And he started working on his storyboards back in June of last year. And just 5 months later, he's already finished his one shot and put it out on Manga Plus creators. And this is what he had to say. I reached a new level of detail and characterization, learned more about backgrounds and how to be more creative about doing things against a deadline. The mentors always give way better feedback to my works than I would, and they generally want us to do a good job. All right. So, you guys, you've seen our students' results, you've read how happy they are with the community and guidance from our mentors, and you've heard from Aki's experience herself. So, the question is, do you guys want in to just type I want in chat. All right. Do you guys want in? For you guys who want mentorship and you guys want to learn how to make manga through a structured process that actually keeps you accountable, then this program is for you. Just type I want in. If you want to make your time doing art more meaningful and more productive, and again, our program is for you because we're on a mission to accelerate your growth, all while having fun learning together. And you will have amazing pro mangaka mentors to guide you. We have our mentor, Nao Yazawa, who's actually a professional Japanese mangaka with over 30 years of experience in the Japanese manga industry. And she's also the illustrator of the iconic manga turned anime known as Wedding Peach. And she's also authored her own how to draw manga books and teaches at a manga school in Tokyo. We also have Renesaya Sensei, who is a Tokyo-based professional Japanese mangaka with over 20 years of experience in the Japanese manga industry, and she's also worked on 12 books with the Japanese publisher Shogakukan and is currently a freelance manga artist and teaches at a manga school in Tokyo. And we also have a pro webtoon artist on staff. Steph Pastrano is an illustrator known for his amazing anime and manga fan art and is currently a freelance artist and making his own ongoing line webtoon. And we also have the newest addition to our mentors, Vivi, who is a pro manga editor with over 10 years of experience. She's worked with editorial teams for titles like Record of Ragnarok and Unsung Cinderella. And she's worked with big manga publishers as well, like Koamix, who is the host of the largest international manga competition, the Silent Manga Edition, and companies like Kadokawa, which is the publisher behind Bungo Stray Dogs and Lucky Star, if you can um recall, if you know what Bungo Stray Dogs and Lucky Star are. She's worked with the publishers behind those titles. All right. And for the most committed and high performing students in our program, the journey doesn't just end with creating your first one shot. It could take you all the way to Japan. Because next year, we're sending our top performing students on an all expense paid trip to Japan to attend the biggest comic convention in Tokyo, Comitia. And that's a rare opportunity to pitch your manga to Japanese publishers and editors in person. And we'll be here to help translate your work to Japanese, right? So you could also have the chance to publish your work, publish your manga in our official Learn to Draw manga anthology, which we will be releasing later this year. It's basically a compilation of our students' mangas which you can check out because I think our students definitely deserve to have their work put out there to be read. So if you want to stay tuned for when we do release our anthology, make sure to subscribe to the channel. All right. So you guys, we're not just taking in anyone. We want to work with aspiring manga artists who want to be empowered. So this program is for you if you're at least 18 years old and comfortable writing and speaking in English. You're a beginner who wants to learn how to draw manga and start telling your own stories, and you have a passion for manga and dream of getting published or winning contests with your original artwork, and you're seeking confidence in a supportive community to share your art and grow as a manga artist. All right, so if this sounds like you, then you're invited to apply and join our one-shot manga drawing program, and we only accept applicants who are 18 years old and above. All right, so this is the moment of truth, you guys. Make sure to apply through the link in the description, and I can also send you guys the link in chat. That's it for our questions for Aki today, you guys. Please make sure to go and follow Aki. Here are her socials on screen, and please make sure to check out her manga on Global Comics. All the links are in the description of this live stream. Now, Aki, do you have any last words, any parting words you want to share with our audience today?
I guess thank you for having me. It was very fun. I was definitely nervous, but hopefully I said good things and interesting and insightful things. Um, just keep trying, make friends. I like to be honest, that's probably one of the biggest motivators is I love sharing my stuff with my friends. It's
Mm.
honestly the best feeling to just be like, hee hee, look at what I did. Definitely make a community and just, yeah, make friends. It truly is one of the best things that you can do as an artist is form a good community.
Right. I think really nice words to end this live stream on, you guys. Make friends. That's the moral of today's that's the moral lesson that we can take from today's live stream. Make friends because that makes making manga even more enjoyable is if you get to share it with your friends, if you get to share it with other people who also enjoy the same stuff that you do, right? So, yeah. And um that question, Angela, about making a video about scripts for manga, we do actually do have a video on how to write if you don't know how to write for manga. So you can check that out, Angela, if you want. And yeah, then again, that is the end of today's live stream, you guys. And I just want to leave you guys with this question. What will you be tomorrow if you start today? So take the leap. If you can imagine if you started making manga now, can you imagine how much progress you could make by, let's say, 2 months from now, or by the end of the year, or by next year, right? Just imagine how much you could accomplish in that time if you start now. If you look at Aki, she started with us like earlier this year at the start of the year, and now just a couple of months later, like midway into the year, she's already accomplished so much. She's already finished a manga. She's already currently planning her next one shot. So that's already a lot of progress for a beginner who's never made a manga before, right? So if you want to make that same type of progress, or if you want to make learning how to make manga more easy, more enjoyable, especially with the help of mentors, coaches who have industry experience, then come sign up and join our program. All right. So you can do it too if you just take the leap. And last reminders, you guys, we have our upcoming logline and two-page workshop in October. It's going to be October 5. It's going to be on, let me check. It's going to be on October 3 and October 4 and October 11, you guys. We have free workshops on October 4 and October 11, same time, 7 p.m. CDT. We are going to be opening signups for it right later today, or if not tomorrow. So please like and subscribe and turn on notifications if you want to stay updated and sign up as soon as we announce these events. All right. And that's pretty much it for today's live stream, you guys. Thank you so much, Aki, for coming today. Thank you guys so much as well for coming today. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And I'll see you guys at our next live stream. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.